What's up, you guys? We are doing a reading for the Mercury retrograde ahead. We are going to touch base on the astrology. Of course, little disclaimer, I'm not a professional astrologer, but I have been studying it as long as I've been studying tarot. Actually, I learned tarot through astrology. I found it was the easiest way to learn. So when I do my readings, I like to dabble within astrology, so do keep that in mind. So I want to touch base on the astrology, right? Of course, if you want something more in depth about the astrology, go to an actual astrologer, but I do think this is important for the reading that we're about to do. So I'm going to touch base on that, right? Certain aspects, just Mercury retrograde as a whole to understand it. And we're also going to look at, the sign that we're retrograding in, perhaps the themes that might come up this retrograde that we need to keep in mind of, and then we're going to go into the tarot, okay? Now, as of recording this reading, it is June 27th. Retrograde doesn't start until June 29th, and then it goes all the way until July 23rd. Crazy. It just feels like we're always in retrograde. That being said, pre-shadow phase, collective energy, okay, you see me, you're probably a part of the collective, you resonate with my readings, you're part of the collective, right? Truly, it feels like it's been Mercury retrograde. I feel like shadow phase, it's not as intense, but it's like I've been feeling it. Have you been feeling it? I've been feeling it, right? What do we know happens in Mercury retrograde? Your ex might come back, not strictly your ex, people from the past might come back in one way or another, right? Why is this family member reaching out to you? Why is your teacher from high school reaching out to you? Why is this old friend reaching out to you? Whatever that may be. Electronics getting glitchy, getting funky. I swear to God, for the past 2 weeks, every time, and I upload on YouTube, I upload on TikTok, I upload on Instagram. I've also started uploading on Facebook, and uploading on all these platforms. Why the hell is it taking 30 minutes to upload the video, right? Normally it takes like most 4, right? Brutal. You know it's Mercury retrograde when stuff starts glitching, right? Just stuff starts glitching. Your TV's not working, your remote's not working, right? You need to buy a new laptop all of a sudden. Be mindful of that. The other thing we need to keep in mind is contracts. Read the fine print. I cannot exaggerate this enough. Read the fine print, right? Mercury retrograde is Mercury, the planet of communication. So communication goes wonky, right? Technology. How do we communicate with people nowadays? Technology, right? When we're signing a contract, that's us communicating the details, right? Or just like people going, I miss my ex, let me reach out to them, right? We gotta keep that in mind. So it's like, always read the fine print, no matter what it is. During Mercury retrograde, okay, June 29th, all the way to July 23rd, keep that in mind. Read the fine print. So be careful. Be careful if you're getting a new house, right? Triple read that contract, that lease that you're about to sign. Triple read it. Make sure that you're not signing up for a house that's, oh, your plumbing's wrong. You don't want issues. So be careful. Okay? It's not like a warning. It's just like to reflect a little bit more. Mercury retrograde is the perfect time to reflect as well. Let's keep that in mind. Okay? But yeah, jobs. You're interviewing for jobs. Negotiate your salary. Make sure that you're signing up for the right thing. Look at the reviews for the company, that sort of thing, right? Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Don't run into your ex's arms, okay? They reach out to you, I miss you, I want you, right? That's how you get bit. And I'm telling you that from experience, unfortunately, right? I've talked about this before, but it's like there was this one individual in my life just wasting my time, and it's like, I knew I could expect a text from them every single retrograde. Not in between retrograde. No, it was strictly during retrograde. And that's how I knew that they were a lesson, right? And so they got blocked, right? You guys need to consider, who do you need to block? Okay, but let's focus in on this retrograde specifically. Okay, the retrograde is in Cancer. We can look at Cancer energy, the themes for Cancer. I find the best way to understand this is through Cancer's house within astrology, right? Every sign from Aries to Pisces rules a house, right? This is how we can understand the houses much better. That's at least how I understood the houses much better. We can look at this as, okay, we have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and then Cancer. So the fourth house. Looking at the fourth house, we can look at the themes of the home, comfort, right? This could be family, this could be your parents, right? This could be, just, right, your home, right? So emphasize on be careful with your contracts in terms of your home. Maybe hold off on those renovations unless you've been planning them for a very, very long time. Just make sure you read the fine print, okay? Your sense of comfort, we can look at it like that too, right? There's something very much about Cancer people where it's like, taking care of yourself, your comfort, that sort of thing. I find a lot of Cancers are, in one way or another, it is a stereotype, but like they're homebodies, right? Taking care of like the people around them, taking care of themselves, that sort of thing. Cancer being a water sign, we can look at the dreamy energy of water signs. Maybe this could be talking about nostalgia. There could be a theme of being nostalgic. Let me reach out to someone. Be mindful. Be mindful. I did have some information pulled up, so I'm just gonna highlight that. Like I said, there could be family drama this retrograde. We have to reflect on, any revisions we're doing to the house, right? This could be, maybe needing to apply more logic to the serious conversations that we have, right? Raw feelings are good, but making sure that we're communicating effectively, right? Mercury, communication. It's bound to happen. Every retrograde, there's always going to be a little bit of confusion with the conversations, right? You're being misunderstood, right? Think through your feelings, reflect, and then speak, okay? That's the very important thing. Everything you do, reflect and then do, okay? Very important to know. Yeah, we have to keep that in mind. That Cancer energy, I find like, Cancer energy can be like a little bit moody. It can be very deep, right? And, just be mindful of that. I find that like sometimes Cancer energy can be like a little bit passive aggressive or like defensive in a way. So be mindful, don't pick a fight, think through, and then communicate, right? Keep that in mind. Once again, that aspect of nostalgia, old relationships, childhood memories, and, exes. This could be you're dreaming of people. People are literally reaching out to you, just left and right. What is going on? That sort of thing. Try not to relive the past, right? If anything comes up like past people within your dreams, or literally like try to understand like what is this here? Why are you showing up, right? Reflection. Key dates, of course, June 29th, retrograde officially begins, right? We also have to keep note, July 12th, the Sun and Mercury align Cazimi, right? So this might be a really powerful day. There might be a really big breakthrough on this day. It highlights logic and emotional clarity, that sort of thing. And then, of course, Mercury stations direct on July 23rd, but we will be free from the shackles of Mercury retrograde come August 6th. Brutal. Anyways, that is the vibe. Let's go start on the actual reading. So these are the themes that we need to keep in note. I will be putting that in the noggin for when I progress through this reading. What do you guys need to understand this retrograde? What is it? What is the keynote? We're gonna also go into an oracle deck. I'll think of that as we progress. See what the vibes are for the reading. See what's up. So, what's the energy for you guys, this Cloudy Collective, through this Mercury retrograde? Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And also the Page of Swords and the Five of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. Okay. Lots of Pentacles energy. What is Pentacles energy? It's security, stability. Kind of going back to the home, the sense of self. There is this aspect where perhaps you guys are feeling heavy. I've been feeling that energy. I feel like the card of the day readings I've been doing predominantly on TikTok have really highlighted that there's kind of like a struggle to connect. Very much like I say I'm gonna do something and it's like kind of doing it, but then it's like not making that progress that you want, right? We can also see that within that Page of Swords, right? Page of Swords being the energy of taking action, being direct, and, you know, having ideas and putting them in play, but not doing it the most, right? That page energy, it's very much like doing the least, right? Taking initiative, but it's like, you know, maybe not knowing enough, like not being educated enough or having enough spark, having enough motivation to put that energy forwards. When I'm looking at this energy, it's very much like that struggle to connect. And I feel like, you know, a desire to reach out perhaps is not coming from a very stable place. We can look at that through the energy too, right? Where it's like, sorry, I'm feeling like it's a little bit dark in here. When we're looking at the energy specifically, we can look at it through that nostalgic energy that might 100% be a theme within Mercury retrograde. Because when we look at the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, we can unfortunately look at it like as insecurity, right? Or instability. I'm not feeling like I have enough of this or that. So because of that, that's what's pushing me to want to take action, right? I feel like, let's think about this action that we are taking, okay? If this is, for example, I'm missing a past relationship, I should reach out to them. Let's keep in mind, okay? Mercury retrograde is notorious for exes coming back. You might be the ex coming back. Let's make sure that, you know, we're not being spontaneous here, right? This is the worst time to be spontaneous. It's the time to reflect. If you're gonna take action, wait till after August 6th to even think about it, right? If you're feeling nostalgic, why are you feeling nostalgic? If you're feeling like, you know, past energies are coming back, perhaps feelings of insecurity, right? I don't feel good enough because of this past job. I don't feel good enough because of my childhood. I don't feel good enough because of this past relationship, this past friendship. Whatever it may be, why is that coming up? Okay, you need to reflect on that, because it's like you need to have more information to work with, and I feel like there's a very specific reason why this is coming up, right? Mercury retrograde, like we've been saying, is the perfect time to reflect, because it's like, what happens during Mercury retrograde? It's very much like a, where in your path do you need work, right? You can go back into old habits, but that's not the point. You want to complete a cycle, then it's like you need to actually get that insight so you can complete that cycle. And we're looking at this Five of Pentacles energy in reverse. We can look at it through, you know, if there's a disconnect here within your past connections or whatever it may be, there's going to be frustration coming up that it's like, why couldn't things be different? But it's like, why do you wish that things could be different, right? If we're looking at, for example, a past relationship, right? This person, maybe you got cheated on. You can question, you know, what's so bad about me, to like, why did they cheat on me? But how about we reframe it and say they're just a bad person, or they just did a bad thing, right? Maybe you had a great relationship, but it's like, you don't deserve that toxicity. To be cheated on, that is so disrespectful. Why do you want to go back to a situation where you got hurt like that? You don't want that. You don't want that. You deserve better than that, right? If there's any part of you that feels like you deserve that, then let's reflect on the self, right? Because it's like, you are more deserving of something than that. You could think like, but when things were good, they were good, right? But it's like, you can't like think of it from that area, right? There's good and bad you can take from every single connection in your life. Every single connection, whether it be your family, your friends, your relationships, whatever it may be. There's good and bad. There's always going to be the high moments, because a lot of times that's what you needed at that time. Is that clicking? That's what you needed at that time, right? I can think about my past friendships, for example, where it's like, the way it ended was awful, right? The way it ended, it was awful. There was a lack of communication, right? And I lost a good friend there, right? But if I think about it, it's like, okay, maybe there were good parts of the relationship, but it's like the major aspects were very much like, you know, maybe I was fighting all the time with this person. Maybe they brought up a very restless, aggressive energy within me. And maybe I did the same for them, right? That was very much true in like a specific friendship I'm thinking about, right? Where it's like, going down to compatibility, we were not compatible with each other, but we tried to make a friendship work. I can get upset that the friendship ended, and I could say, oh, it's their fault, it's my fault, whatever, right? But truly, at the end of the day, I can look at it through the perspective, through the lens that it's exactly what I needed at that time. You know, it made me realize that a lot of my friendships take me for granted, for example, right? That maybe, you know, I'm dealing with a lot of unhealed people who rather not reflect on themselves, rather point the finger, for example, right? But through that, it's like, it's exactly what I need at that time. You know, that person was there for me when I was learning to adapt, when I needed a friend, and they were a friend occasionally, but a lot of times they were my enemy, right? So think about that. Think about all your relationships, right? Anyone that's coming up during this time. Think about that. We can reflect on that within our family too, right? You know, if we're feeling nostalgic, if we're feeling like, you know, maybe I should have done more, maybe I should have done less, whatever that may be, let's reflect on that, because there is a bit of a frustration, like, why couldn't this connection be what I desire it to be? Let's try again, perhaps. But I feel like a lot of it, it's like, leave it in the past, right? Sometimes just leaving it how it is the much better decision. And I feel like if you guys are to reach out to someone, or live through, like, act through that nostalgia, it's going to do you more harm, because even the intentions going into it, okay, let's remind ourselves of this energy, right? This Mercury retrograde, this collective might be feeling a little bit heavy. This truly feels like, instead of going out in the world, going inward, okay? Don't act on this challenging energy, right? Oh, I want some support. Let me reach out to a person that I haven't spoken to in a very long time, where maybe there is a struggle within this connection, right? This honestly feels like you're better off not reaching out to that, right? You know, if you need support, reaching out to someone, but it's like, reach out to someone who has showed up and has stayed, rather than someone who hasn't given you the time of day, right? Let's go take a look into this further. Yeah, the moon card. What else? Eight of Wands is very reflective of that Mercury retrograde energy, right? Any action you guys take during the next few weeks, it's very much like allow yourself to slow down. You guys don't have to be in a go 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 energy all the time, and I feel like the Cloudy Collective very much is like, you guys are go-getters, or I find a lot of you are go-getters, where it's like, I have to do this, I have to do that, right? But it's like, truly, look at this energy. This is some heavy energy, right? The Moon card and the 10 of Swords, right? This is a challenging combination. 100%. It's a challenging combination because truly the Moon card highlights, we can look at that Pisces energy, the 12th house. The 12th house highlights, it can be a challenging house. You know, perhaps you need to reflect on your 12th house and that energy, because perhaps maybe some of that is coming up. That's just something that might be relevant in one way or another. But we need to look at the energy of the moon, okay? It can highlight a spiritual aspect, right? The 12th house can represent like the subconscious, that sort of thing, your intuition, your spirituality, that sort of thing. But we also have to understand that like the moon card can be very delusional. Okay, it can be very delusional. It can highlight illusion. It can highlight fears, anxiety, right? Anything that comes up. Once again, I want to reach out to this person because I'm scared that they're gonna leave me behind, right? I want to reach out to this person because I'm scared that they forgot about me, right? Or it's just like, I'm scared of being alone. Whatever it is, perhaps you guys are acting on fear. Right off the get-go. Queen of Pentacles, right? In reverse. In reverse. We can't, like, acting on that Queen of Pentacles in reverse energy is not good. It's not. Alongside this energy, very much the moon, 10 of Swords, right? 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords. You see 10 of Swords? Are you looking at him? That's a lot of swords, right? Very much so, like, very much so. The 10 of Swords highlights, like, a challenging ending, right? A painful ending. Whatever has happened here, right? Whatever's being highlighted to you, your relationships, your home life, I would not be surprised if you guys just don't speak to one or both of your parents anymore, a specific family member, right? What's being highlighted here, like these past relationships, right? These past connections, whatever it may be, you have to acknowledge that it's hurt you, and perhaps that energy still lingers, right? Perhaps you're not seeing it properly, maybe it's triggered you. This energy honestly feels like very triggering, right? Let's be mindful of how we're being triggered this Mercury retrograde, right? Something very important that we need to know, right? This does truly feel like needing to do a lot of shadow work. I mean, this feels like some intense shadow work energy, right? Where it's like acknowledging this hurt, acknowledging this pain, wanting to do something about it, but needing to be mindful of how you're going about this, right? I feel like within this collective, we can kind of just amount it to wanting to, like, get some sort of reassurance. But it's not, you're not always going to get that reassurance from the people that have hurt you, unfortunately. Because some people are not thinking about their impact on you and how they have hurt you, and that's what's so unfortunate. I think what's important here is it's like you looking for answers. It's good, it's important to want to look for answers, but you're not always going to find answers, unfortunately. I feel like this collective, I mean, introspection, you watch tarot videos, you practice any sort of divination, I do truly feel like, you know, people who practice these things, it's like you're trying to grow, you're trying to learn, you're trying to be better. And unfortunately, not everyone's like that, right? There's a lot of people that need to go to therapy that don't go to therapy, right? And that's something that we need to reflect upon, right? That not everyone's gonna put in the work the way that we put in the work. And you're not always going to get a healed answer. Truly, this feels like acting upon, you know, if you guys are to reach out to someone from your past, if you are to investigate in these things, I do feel like you're gonna just get more hurt than you'd like. I feel like there's this underlying energy that you have to keep in mind of even if you reach out to someone, you reach out to your ex, for example, right? And they're like, yes, let's reconnect. It honestly feels like, you know, we have to look at intentions here right off the base. Queen of Pentacles in reverse, right? Acting on this unhealed energy. If you're going to reach out to someone, you don't want to reach out to them while you're in this Queen of Pentacles in reverse energy. If anything, work towards being upright before you're going to act on anything. And I feel like that should be the focus. And perhaps while working through that energy, working through those insecurities, you're going to realize, actually, I'm better than this. I can't stoop so low, right? But it also just feels like if you are to connect with someone, it's like not only are intentions very worthwhile to understand, like if you're to act on something, if you're to, you know, if you were to initiate something or reciprocate something, it does feel like it's not gonna end in the way that you want it to, right? I feel like that's truly what's notorious about Mercury retrograde. Like I said, like through my own experiences too, and through what I've seen through my friendships and my family as well. It's like when you try to dive into this past energy, it's like it does serve as a warning, right? That's why it's so important to like do your research, think it through before you take any action, because it's like you don't want to like you don't want to be stuck in the same cycle over and over and over. If any energy is coming up during Mercury retrograde, it's highlighting, hey, this is something you need to work on, right? You have an ex who's coming back, then it's like, why do you still feel this attachment to them? Is there anything worth exploring? Like, is there something about you that's worth exploring? For some of you, maybe it's like, yeah, maybe it is worth exploring because maybe you had avoidant tendencies and you were the one to walk away, and perhaps you need to reflect on those avoidant tendencies and you need to, you know, keep that in mind, maybe build something, be more open, be more vulnerable, maybe, right? That could be relevant. But perhaps if you were the anxious person and, you know, allowing someone to waltz right back in, it's highlighting like, okay, maybe you need to work on your anxious attachment style, for example, right? We can look at it through that lens. I feel like there's many ways that we can look at this. I mean, at the end of the day, it is collective energy, right? Just overall understanding a lot of things, right? We can also look at our charts too. Where is Cancer in your chart? That might be the theme for that. Where is specifically where's Cancer in your chart? I would also maybe consider like where's Mercury in your chart, but that's just off the top of my head. Let's go into the soul's journey here, right? Because we're talking about the journey here. We're talking about what's important. This is what you guys need to keep in mind. This upcoming Mercury retrograde. Let's go take a look. Okay. Some advice for you guys. Just Uno for this upcoming retrograde. Uno. Hello. Okay. And grief on the bottom of the deck. we have acceptance. I am learning to accept the things that I cannot change. We also have doubt. I release the need to know all the answers. I'm going to read both these cards for you. So acceptance and doubt. Okay? These are your cards to think about this Mercury retrograde. So let's go read acceptance first. Right now, your soul is learning acceptance. This may force you to feel out of control in a situation or with another person in your life. Just realize that the universe has given you this incredible opportunity to release control. Perhaps doing so will help you realize that there is a rhythm, a rhyme or reason to everything in life. Rather than thinking these are accidents that are occurring, refer to these conditions as moments of divine design. Maybe it is a person or a situation that you do not agree with right now. For the moment, instead of having a knee-jerk reaction based on an emotional response, stop, step back, observe, and make an attempt to understand both sides of the equation, which is an incredible gift for you to practice tolerance, grace, and patience. Realize that although you have come to accept a situation or a condition, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are condoning a behavior or that you support it. You see it for what it is and recognize that there is something rich to learn from it. That is acceptance. Very interesting. And let's move on to doubt, and then I'll send you guys on your merry way. Alrighty. It's impossible for the human brain to comprehend the mysteries of the universe. You are only consciously aware of the 3 dimensions for a reason, and that is to learn to love without the full awareness of your connection to spirit. Everyone has his or her own personal path to this awareness, and there is no right or wrong answer as long as your goal is to manifest the energy of love and compassion. The wisdom of the divine trickles down to the physical dimension, and some of it will resonate with your soul, and some will not. These are your signposts that guide you to your correct path. If the wisdom resonates with you and seems right, then keep it. If not, release it back to the universe. Always be aware and mindful of the insights that your spirit guides and teachers put on your path, right? Anything that comes up during retrograde, right? Accept that the situations that have happened in the past have happened, okay? You can question yourself. You can question the situation, but what purpose does that serve you, right? Truly, let's reflect on any past energy that comes up, right? Whether it be physically or subconsciously, whatever that may be, reflect on what that means to us, right? You're feeling a little bit heavy about your relationship with your parents, right? You don't talk to your parents, maybe. Let's reflect. Let's reflect. What does that mean to us, right? Maybe it's highlighting, I'm still not over this. I need to still work through this, right? Maybe you need to learn how to forgive yourself, right? For the mistakes, the guilt that you have carried, right? Anybody comes in, right? Reflect, what were the good moments of this? What were the bad moments of this? And what aligns with me now, right? Don't just take action. Reflect. Reflect and see what that means for you, okay? I'm gonna leave that reading there. Please let me know if this reading resonated. I'm always happy to read your comments and see what's up with you guys, okay? But I'm gonna leave that there. Be sure to like and subscribe, and of course, if you guys are interested in a personal reading, you can check out my Etsy, Cloudy Tarot & Co. Currently, at the time of making this video, I do have a sale on there. So, check that out if you're interested. But thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much for hanging out. And most importantly, best of luck.